Hi, welcome today. Today is about using OBSstudio and getting you in your own instruction. And by the way, that's what I'm using right now. This is OBSstudio. It is a free piece of software that anybody can download, put it on any computer, and get going with really, I would say, professional looking online lessons from the get-go that look a little better than if I hold up my cell phone and I just go like this and try to teach my kids, which works. It's better than nothing. I was much happier to see a cell phone video of a teacher teaching my son than what I got from 75% of his teachers, which was no videos, no instruction for an entire quarter. So OBSstudio, that's what we're talking about today. Many of these things, by the way, are one time. Please rewind, please pause, please go back, please ask a question in the comments below if you have questions on it. So, a second about OBSstudio versus screen capture video. I started in 2008 recording every single class, every single day, and I used screen capture to do it. Every digital whiteboard has some kind of screen capture video that captures just this without me, and the exact same thing. It would just look like this, right? You'd see the screen, you'd hear me talking, but I'm not there. That's what screen capture video does, and that's okay. It's a first step, and that's what I used to talk to my staff about, that being step one. However, recording with video is important, I think, anymore. If you're doing online instruction and the students never see you, how do you make a connection? And I know many teachers have said to me, I can't make a connection, I can't see them, I'm looking in a camera. That's true for you. It's not true for them. They do see you. They see you down in the corner, talking to them, interacting with them every single lesson. And I can't get across how important the teacher is to the instruction, and you being part of it, you looking at them, you talking to them in the course of the day is incredibly more important than everything else. So I will not ever say that online instruction or recorded instruction is as good as personal instruction. That would be ridiculous to say that. But it can be close. And in some cases, students that can rewind and watch it over get more out of it because you're too fast for them. I'm too fast, right? That's my biggest input from staff every single year. Mr. Poole, you talk too fast. I know, I try. So that's the difference between using OBSstudio with the video and just using the screen capture software, which is okay, but it's not as good in my opinion. So, what it looks like what you're looking now. This is what mine looks like in my classroom. I have a different camera in my classroom. You can use your IPVO camera in our classroom or any webcam on a stick to do the same thing, to just get a picture of you to be included in the instruction as you're teaching. That's one option. It can be just like what you're seeing here. It can be down in the corner. You can use green screen video to erase you. I use something called Chroma Cam, which erases the background, which is, I think it was $19 or something like that. Anyway, so that's the difference, what it looks like. The first thing you have to do is download and install OBSstudio. It's from obsproject.com/download. You have to install it, configure it, and then you record. And it's pretty easy. This whole video is on the configuration of it to make it easy for you to use. In your school, you might have to ask your tech guy to install OBSstudio. At your home, you obviously don't have to. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the configuration. So I've installed OBSstudio. It's a simple download. You click on it, you say you want to install, yes. The first time you open it up, it looks like this. It's totally blank. There's nothing on it to see at all. You have to add what you want to see. So the black screen there in the middle where it says add sources of video is what it would record right now. There would be no sound, no picture, no nothing. You have to tell OBSstudio everything you want. So down there under sources, you hit the plus button to add a source, and the first source is going to be your computer screen, and that's called a display capture. So you have all these different sources available to you. You hit display capture. You can see there's other ones. People use it to stream games. You can use it to capture video, all kinds of stuff. We're only going to talk about 2 of those today. The first one's display capture. When you click on it, you can add a name. You don't need to, just click OK. And it's going to, by default, get your display. If you've got more than one display, and I do right now, I've got my laptop, and over here I've got another screen. The down arrows right here let you choose which screen you want to capture. So if you're at school and you have a screen at your teacher desk and a screen over there that's your smart board, Memio board, digital whiteboard, whatever, make sure you pick your digital whiteboard because you want to record what you're teaching, not what's over there at your desk that you're not using, unless that's where you're going to teach. So you just click OK on that. And then it will look really weird if you've got one screen like it does on this, because you're seeing a recording of the screen, of the screen, of the screen, of the screen. It doesn't matter what's on there right now. It's going to automatically go to the full size of your recording. You can change the size by just dragging the red box and making it smaller or bigger. I don't know why you'd ever make it smaller. And then down here there's a little lock, unlock. Once you lock it, it won't move again. So I always lock those things. So now I've got a screen option. The second thing I want to add is me, right? So then you're going to hit the plus button again, and now you're going to add a video capture device, a camera. So you go ahead and click video capture device, and then it's going to let you name it. If you have multiple cameras in your room, you might want to name it. I don't know many people that do other than me. I've got 3 different cameras in my room because I've got overhead cameras, I've got a security camera in the corner, I've got one of these cameras. So you don't need to. So you just click OK again, and then it's going to say, is this the camera you want? If there's different cameras, you can click the up and down arrow buttons to say which one you want. You don't need to. If you only have one webcam, it's going to show the one you have. You click OK, and then I already resized this one. It was huge. I had to grab that red box in the corner and I drag it down to where I want me to be in the video. And in this case, you can see I dragged it to the bottom right. The reason I do bottom right normally is because all the buttons on a Windows computer are on the bottom left, and if I'm telling people how to do stuff and I'm over top of the thing that I'm trying to get them to click, it doesn't make sense, right? So I try to keep, just like you can see on this one, I try to keep myself out of the way when I'm teaching, and I can make myself as small as you can make yourself that small, right? Don't make yourself too small, because then you kind of remove the whole point of you being in the video. You can also crop it a whole bunch if you want to. It's called the transform. You just right click on it and say edit transform. I'm getting a little advanced on that. So that's it. Now we've got it so we can record our screen, and we've got our webcam on there. The next thing we have to do is go to settings and adjust some settings. Number 1, there's no audio right now. Well, there is. It automatically added, you can see the video capture device, your webcam audio, and if that's your mic, that's fine. That is not the mic we use at school. It works, but depending on how far away you put your webcam, it may not work great. So you may want to have a separate camera. I'm going to grab one real fast, see if I got it over on the desk over there. So you might want to get a separate camera, like a blue microphone Snowball that picks up better, or a Yeti or a Yeti Nano. Those are some good USB microphones that can pick up your classroom a little better. But the microphone and the webcam, or even in this laptop, can do the job for you just fine. So we go to settings. And we have to set up, okay. So we go to settings, and the first thing we have to set up is hotkeys. There's no easy default on how to start recording and how to pause and how to stop recording. So hotkeys are the keys you're going to hit on your keyboard to make those things happen. Now, you could just start recording at the beginning of your class, stop it at the end of your class, and then use YouTube or some software like Power Director to trim it in, that's perfectly fine. I like using hotkeys. So we click on hotkeys, and there are just 4 things that I set up. How to start recording, stop recording, pause recording, and unpause recording. Those are the only 4 things I set up. And I use the Alt key because nothing else uses that while I'm teaching. So I use Alt R to record, Alt S to stop, Alt P to pause, and Alt R again to unpause, because anytime I hit Alt R, it means I want to record. So if I pause, I know start recording is Alt R, and that means you hold down the Alt key and you hit R, hold down I'm not going to do it so don't stop it, Alt key and push S when I'm finished with the whole thing, Alt P to pause it, Alt R to unpause it, because if you're going to try to make this concise, the last thing you want to do is record the 45-minute class, including all the activity time and other things going on in the classroom, right? So you might want to say, hey, I'm pausing it right now. Hey, everybody, we're going to do this activity. You'll see it down below in this video, and I'm pausing it right now while you do that activity. Boom, and you pause it, and then you unpause it and say, hey, we're back from doing that activity, and you move on from there. So that's what the hotkeys are for. The next thing you have to set up is a sound input. Now this one, because we've got the mic, I always go to I go to audio here. This is in the settings. And then I go to the mic, auxiliary audio, and I change it to default. Or if I've got a separate microphone, like you could see all those, there's 3 other sound options on my desktop. I could pick one of those that I want to use as my microphone. You just need to make sure you set something, because there's a little sound bar you see going back and forth. You should be able to talk and see that sound bar. If you don't see that sound bar moving, then you're going to do a really good silent video. And in YouTube, you could turn it to black and white and make it a black and white, no sound video, but I'm not sure why you'd do that. So set your audio and make sure that you can hear it. The last thing is I go to output to see where my videos are going to. I have it set to recording quality, high quality. And then I also have, I make sure it's going to my videos folder. You can browse to and put them any place you want to. But you need to make sure you've got them going and you know where they're going someplace. After that, you're done. Setup is complete. All I do at this point is I open OBSstudio. Make sure that the sound is bouncing across. Hey, I'm going to pull this over here. This is going to look confusing because I'm going to have a double of the whole thing. But here we see my mic bouncing back and forth here on OBSstudio. I've got the desktop audio off. That's what that does right there. So any sounds that come from my computer don't end up on my video. But the mic, you could see my sound bouncing back and forth right there. So I should see that. I have 2 screens, so I can move to the other screen. But at school, I would minimize that. So I'm not even looking at it. It's just running down below. And when I'm ready to record, I hit Alt-R on my keyboard. I do my lesson. I hit Alt-S when I'm done. And I have that on here. Start recording, Alt-R, pause, Alt-P, unpause, or start recording again, Alt-R, and then Alt-S to stop. That's it. It's a one-time setup. You can actually do, you can learn way more about OBSstudio if you want to. That's all you need to know to use OBSstudio to record whatever you're doing on your, now you can do it with the PowerPoint. This is just a PowerPoint with me, in front of the PowerPoint. If that's the way you teach, which is not the way I teach from a board. That's why that example is me up in front of a board. I always teach from my Mimeo board. You might have a smart board, Promethean, Epson digital camera, whatever you have. However you teach, you want to capture that as well as you can. Now, doing the capture of the screen gets it perfectly. You don't get a fuzzy image of this, right? You see exactly what I'm seeing, and so would your students. If you just use a camera of you projecting on the board, and you don't use digital whiteboard software, or a PowerPoint, or just a screen capture, depending on the quality of your camera, it could still work just fine. It could. It won't be as good. There's no question at all. It's never going to be as good as doing a screen capture, but it can work if that's what you want. So once you're done, you got your video, use it for your lesson. In my case, I upload to YouTube, and then I link that into my classroom activity. I edit on YouTube sometimes, and sometimes I use a piece of software called Cyberlink Power Director. Get the oldest version, which will be the cheapest version on Amazon if you decide to go with Power Director. I have multiple versions on different computers, and there is absolutely no difference between the newest one and version 13 that I started out with. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I can't find it. And if I can't find it, you probably won't notice either. So you can use that to trim out things if you want to, but you don't have to. At school, I record, I upload, I post. I don't do any editing at school. We don't have time to between classes, right? And between lessons. So use that video then for your lesson. And we talked about that in a previous video on how to use videos for your lessons. That's it. That's setup and usage of OBS Studio for classroom recordings.